Hello everybody, it's Jeff from Close to Home in Glastonbury here with a new mystery quilt. We're very excited. We had a great time last year. This one is called Sashed Squares. So you've already picked up your kits from one of the Close to Homes. If you haven't yet and you've come across our video, welcome. There's still time to pick up those kits at any of the Close to Home stores. It's a $40 kit, and then you supplement that with 1 3/4 inches of another dark color and 2 1/4 inches of a medium color. And once you've got that all picked out, you're ready to go. This one is a lot bigger than last year's. It's 57 inch by 75 inch finished. You can even supplement that and add a border to it, an 8-inch border, if you add another 2 1/4 yards of a different fabric, so you can make it even bigger. Really nice. This is also a great time to inventory all the parts and pieces you'll need to make this quilt a success. Make sure your rotary cutter is nice and sharp, your rotary blade. Make sure that your rulers aren't worn down at the corners. For rulers, you're going to want a 12 or 12.5 inch square ruler and a 24 inch by 6 or 6.5 inch ruler, and just make sure everything's good there. I'm also going to be using, and I'll talk about this more in the next step, some diagonal seam tape. It's a really great tool for doing half square triangles and setting up your seams so that those are nice and perfect. But without any further ado, let's go on to the cutting for step 1. Here are the fabrics I've chosen for the mystery quilt this year. I went with the blue and white pack here. In the middle you'll see a nice medium blue as my medium, and then I went a little bold on the dark. This is a black with some nice silver stars to it. Whatever you chose for your fabric pack, medium and dark, I'm just going to refer to those, and you'll replace the terminology with whatever your colors are. So every pack will have 6 of those 3/8 yards of light fabrics, 6 of the 1/4 yards of the dark fabrics, and then the medium and the 7th dark. We're going to start by cutting strips from all of our 6 dark and 6 light fabrics. Let's take the light first. You're going to cut 2 strips that are 4 inches with the width of fabric. Now the original instructions ask you to cut these at 3 7/8, and you can absolutely do that. You will be cutting them to the exact size. By cutting them to 4 inches, it will give you a little bit to trim afterward. So you can do either one, and I have put the alternate directions on these pertinent steps so that you don't get confused. You can either do the 4 inch or to trim, or the 3 7/8 inch. And you're going to do that from every one of the light fabrics, remember. The same is true for the darks. You're going to get 2 strips that are either 4 inch or 3 7/8 inch. Now from your light, you'll notice there's a 3rd strip as well. You want to cut 1 3.5 inch strip from your light. That 3.5 inch strip is going to then get cut down for every single one of your lights to a 10 3.5 inch squares, as seen here. Then taken all together, you'll see that in total you have 12 light strips that are 4 inches or 3 7/8 inches, 12 dark strips that are 4 or 3 7/8 inches, and 60 total squares, 10 from each of your light fabrics that are 3.5 inches. From your medium, you're going to cut 15 1.5 inch strips, and the rest, and it's a good amount, that's about 1 5/8 yards. The rest is going to be set aside for sashing to be cut at a later date. And then from your dark, you are going to cut 18 1.5 inch strips, and you are also going to cut 2 3.5 inch strips, which will be subcut, those 2 strips, into 20 3.5 inch squares from that 7th dark fabric. The remainder of this fabric, you will have about 2/3 of a yard or so left over, will be left for binding at the end. And then you're all set. So that is all the cutting you'll need for step 1. Thank you so much for joining me. The next step will be out November 5th, and happy quilting.